Welcome viewers to today's broadcast. Today's date is July the 21st, 2024. My name remains Paul. And as usual, I'm titling today's broadcast, Migrating to the US, Useful Tips, Part 5C. In my last video, I had promised to very briefly enumerate some of the benefits of an F1 visa. F1 visa is, of course, student visa, and student visas can be issued to prospective students wishing to study in the US, whether elementary, the grades, the high school, and then to the college for first degree, second degree, and the PhD. So for all classes of students, they must obtain their student visa, that is the F1 visa, before they can proceed to pursue their studies in the United States. And on completion of all of the studies, there are certain benefits attached to all of those efforts. And let me quickly add that F1 is usually for the main holder, the main student coming to study. And usually the F2 is actually also issued to the family members of the F1 holder. So if the F1 visa is held by the lady and she has a family, the husband and the children are allowed to join her. If it's held by the husband, the wife and the children will come under F2. And those kids must be under 21 years old. It might also interest you to know that with your F2, you are not allowed to work in the US without getting an authorization for that purpose, or being sponsored by a prospective employer. So when you come in on F2 as a dependent to an F1 visa holder, you would need to file for authorization to work before you can start working. Or if you get a job, your prospective employer can also file for your Social Security. Your prospective employer would file in a petition for you to be allowed to work. And if that succeeds, then you will get your authorization and then you will start work. And so very briefly, I wish to simply say that the F1 visa is very encouraging, both for the holder and also for members of the holder's family, because after the whole investment, the holder will always get some measure of benefits from the US government, okay, for investing in the academic system in the US. For spending all those monies, the candidate and the family members will get some benefits. And so for the holder of an F1 visa, you have to study in an accredited institution at full time. And some of the benefits will include: one, studying. The student can pursue a degree, diploma, certificate at a college, university, seminary, conservatory, academic, high school, or elementary school. So it cuts across. So that F1 visa, you can use it for so many all levels of academic pursuit in the US. The school must be authorized by the US to accept international students. Of course, whichever school, that school must be authorized to accept international students. And then for a student with an F1 visa, the next question will be, Are students allowed to work in the US? To a large extent, yes, but there are conditions attached to it. So students can legally work part-time on campus and may be able to work off campus as well with permission from the USCIS. You know, the USCIS is the United States Citizenship and Immigration Service. They handle all the F1 processes and procedures. And so it all depends on whether that work is economically necessary or involves practical training. You know, there are some courses that will need some industrial attachment, some measure of training also as part of the job. You know, the job is also part of the training. Let's take a nursing, for instance. They do their clinicals, or if you're planning to be a doctor, or you know, all classes of medicine, there are some elements of practicals needed. And also in so many other courses as well, there are also some practical aspects that will require the student to do some work. But I will very briefly you know, mention what the nature of those jobs and all that. So after studies, students may be eligible to work for up to 12 to 14 months depending on their field of study. So another very great benefit is that after you finish your studies, the government will usually allow the student up to a year or 2 years to work after the studies are completed. That is only, you know, just to help the student recoup part of all the money spent. And also remember, if the prospective student, if he or she has a family, the family members are on F2, they also can be permitted to work. And at the same time as well, the sponsors also who paid in all those monies can now also come forward with some applications. It could be a work permit, it could be a green card, because they invested in the US economy. They usually appreciate, the government of the US appreciates it when people invest in the economy in so many other ways. Either you come in as a prospective businessman, or at this point under F1 visa, you're coming in as a student. So your sponsor, your family members, and even the student himself will all benefit after the studies would have been completed. You know, that helps a lot. That helps a lot. So also the part of the benefit is that if you're on F1, you know, you can travel in and out of the United States during your studies, or remain in the country until they finish. So it depends on how you want it. You know, the F1 visa is usually multiple, okay, multiple entry, multiple exit, so you can move back and forth. Let's assume that part of the program would entail you having to travel back to your country for some experiments or things like that. It allows you to go out even on other social visits. Maybe you might want to go to your country and visit your parents and come back, or if you left a family, then when you are on break, when you're on long vacation, you can still travel back to see your family members, and then you return back again. So it's multiple entry, multiple exit. So it allows you to move back and forth. You know, it allows you. So like I said initially, students can bring their spouse and children to the US on F2 visas. Children in grades K to 12 can attend school full-time, while F2 spouses and children over 12 can attend part-time. So it depends on what the circumstances and situations are. So all of these are parts of the benefit. If you have young children, you know, between the ages of 4 and 12, they go, of course, to the primary. Then if they are above 12, they attend also part-time schools and stuff like that. So it's a whole lot of benefit that come with the F1 visa. So let me also add that during the course of the program, once you've been issued an F1 visa. So there are certain types of work that come with it. Okay. Now, what are those? Now, the type of work students in the US are allowed to do depends on their status and program of study. So the kind of work you are allowed to do most and oftentimes will be dependent on the type of program you are running. So that will also be taken care of. That work in most cases will be part of the visa you've been issued. Okay, here are some types of employment that international students with F1 visas may be eligible for. So there are different types of jobs somebody who has an F1 visa can do. Some of them are part of the program, while some of them are not. Okay, in which case, if it's not part of your program, then you need some measure of authorization before you can proceed to doing those ones. So, but the ones that are part of your studies, automatically you are permitted to do that within the bounds of the law. And normally the students are given some hours. Okay, so it depends on what nature, that the type of program you're running and all that. So on campus, F1 students with active civis status can apply for on-campus jobs up to 30 days before classes start. The civis information is usually given to you by the school when you apply, and then you pay the civis fee, and that civis fee is usually paid to the Department of Homeland Security. And so what that will entail is that once your civis status is active, then you can be allowed to work on campus or you can even start applying for those jobs on campus 30 days ahead of time before you start your program. So these kind of jobs will include on-campus commercial businesses that directly serve students, such as bookstores, cafeteria, libraries, or dorms. It also includes work at educationally affiliated off-campus locations, such as research labs that are contractually affiliated with the school. So these are some of the jobs. You have bookstores inside the school, cafeteria, you have the libraries, you have the dorms. The dorms are the hostels. Okay, you have also some research institutions that are affiliated with the school. So these research institutions might be outside of the school premises, but they are affiliated to the school. So in which case, students can do that work outside the campus and then they stay come back. But it's all part and parcel of the school program. Okay, so these are all benefits that come with an F1 visa. Now there's what is called curricular practical training, otherwise called CPT, curricular practical training. Now students can work in an area related to their major as part of the school's curriculum before the end of their degree. So if that particular work is part of the program, maybe you need an industrial attachment, maybe you need clinicals, maybe you need other practical trainings that will complement your classwork or the practicals you're doing. So the visa allows you to carry on that. It's called curricular practical training. And in most cases, those courses that require such practical trainings, the authorization will normally be part of the F1 visa. And so the student and exchange visitor information system, that is the civis, must authorize the program. So that civis, your civis status will also include that you're permitted to do those curricular practical training. That is those jobs that are part and parcel of your training. It has to be part of your visa approval. Okay, that's what it's saying. Now, which must take place with one authorized employer for a specified period. So let's assume it's an industrial attachment. So there are authorized employers that you have to do the work with. So those unauthorized employers will employ you to do those work with them because it's part and parcel of your training. That's what it is. Curricular practical training is part of your curricula, that is your studies. Okay, now completing a full year of curricular practical training full-time prevents students from applying for optional practical training. So if you're doing the curricular bit and it takes you like a year, what it means is that there's other second aspect of the training, optional practical training. Okay, we will look at, I'll mention what it means now. So the optional practical training, OPT, students can apply for OPT after being enrolled for at least 9 months, but they can't start working until they receive their employment authorization document. So the USCIS must authorize you if you must do the OPT, the optional practical training. The OPT employment can take place anywhere in the US, and students may work before, after, or both completing their degree. So the optional part of it, in this case, the curricula restricts you to where you can work, but under the optional practical training, you will need an authorization from the USCIS, and then you can do that work at any part of the US. You are allowed to do it. Yes, during your studies and after your studies. They can stay and work in the US for up to 12 months after finishing their course. So what that particular opportunity is that once you're doing the OPT training or you are working under the OPT scheme, you can continue that work even up to a year after you have finished your program. So it's very, very good. Meaning that while you are working, you're earning. While you're studying, you're earning. That's what it means. As you work, you go to your school, you are also making money. But you can only do that OPT after you've been in the country for 9 months. So it comes after a while, so that the government is sure that you're really doing the program and you didn't come to the US to come and just work. All right. So it's also important to know that for you to do some of these jobs, you say all students who wish to work must apply for a social security number. So the social security number is a tax ID. So all the students who want to work, they must get it. Now, if you participate in on-campus employment, you may not work more than 20 hours per week when school is in session. So if you're working on campus, most of the time you work 20 hours a week. If you have additional questions, please, okay. So, but then when the schools, when they come on a vacation, the long vacation, you do full time. That is 40 hours a week. Okay. So, yes. So you do 40 hours a week when you are doing the program, and then 20 hours a week during school time and 40 hours when the school is on vacation. Now, there's also this training program called STEM, Optional Practical Training Extension. This type of off-campus employment is also available. So this one is an off-campus, just like the OPT, but you need the training is extended and you need to seek permission. Now, there's also an opportunity that you seek employment with an international organization. Students may be able to work for organizations that are on the official State Department list, such as Red Cross, African and Asian Development Banks, the World Health Organization, and the WTO, World Trade Organization. So these are some international organizations in the US the students can work with. And so it's also important for me to mention that with your F1 visa, you are permitted to marry in the US. If you find a suitable partner, either you are a lady, you can find a husband, you are a man studying, you can get a wife here. The F1 visa allows you to marry. And like I said in my previous video, now the F1 visa is dual intent, in which case the law allows you to move from that student visa categorization. You can move into green card, work permit, and permanent residency. Okay, so it is robust, it is flexible, it is very unique. Your family members will also benefit. Your sponsor will also benefit. And the government will very graciously, when you have finished the program, the government most likely will extend that benefit to you to work. Like I mentioned earlier, you work for 1 year or 2 years after you have finished the program so that you can recoup part of your money. But in all of this, you must know that you follow the due process. You make the necessary applications for the authorization to work, and you must have an employer who can also file a petition on your behalf. And so I know that all of these information, they are quite revealing, quite educating. I have made it in such a way that is simple for everybody to understand. So there's nothing intimidating to come to the US to study. All you need is a proper guide. So you can follow me on TikTok, on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Instagram. So when you get to my Facebook page or Instagram page, you will find my details. I will still follow up on my YouTube channel and my my TikTok to put in there all my details so that you can reach me. So feel free to comment, to like, to follow. I wish to grow my page, and I know you will encourage me to do so. So it's wonderful time today, and I thank you all for watching. So feel free to send a DM, feel free to call in. I promise that I'm going to support you to make your dream come true. I'm very capable getting you a very good school in the US. I will follow all the due process and break it down in such a way you will understand it. So reach out to me. My charges are very simple. My charges are moderate. I know you can afford it. So I know you have been saving money for this purpose, and I can assure you that it is a reality. So I encourage you to send an email today. I encourage you to send a message. I encourage you to like and share. Until I come your way again, I remain your very good friend, Paul. Thank you for watching this video, and God bless you. Bye.